The way I would put that, I'll use a funny analogy of, a primary school student and a varsity student. So the way I view startups is, that's like your primary school or elementary child, They need a bit more care, they need a bit more attention, a bit more of like spoon feeding in a way, because startups are still trying to navigate, still trying to find their place in the market, or product market fit as most people call it.
Yeah.
And so really it's a game of patience.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Chido and this is Chido Starts Up. If this is your first time tuning in, please make sure to click the subscribe button at the bottom of this page. Today I'm so excited. I'm speaking to a developer that I've worked with for a really long time. He's part of a group called Steady State Solutions. I won't introduce them any longer because he's going to do that for themselves. But today we're just going to be speaking about the tech side of startups, the tech side of business, and I think it's just an amazing conversation to have because a lot of tech businesses are coming up in Africa at the moment and you kind of need to know what's going on. So Nathan, welcome to Chido Starts Up.
Thank you, Chido. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. So yeah, tell us about Steady State Solutions. Where did it start? What does it do? Yeah, let the people know what you do.
Okay. Well, it's a funny story really, but I think the best way to describe it is, it was a group of friends. We were all high school brothers, and we all had a passion for playing video games. It was the occasional, you meet up on the weekend, and it was just our thing. And so really when we're approaching the end of our high school, we then realized, what guys, we've got this passion for tech, we're always playing video games, we're always Googling, seeing the latest trends, seeing what's happening across the world. So it really was a passion from day one, and I think we were always in communication throughout our vast years, and towards the end we realized that we're all foreigners studying abroad, we've all acquired important skill sets in that field, and I think preparing as well, we're not sure if we're going to come back to Zim or not, but we had this plan and idea that if we do eventually go back home, we understand how difficult the job market is, and so that really where Steady State was born. We didn't really waste time. As soon as we finished school, we came back and we just formalized everything, and voila, Steady State was born.
Wow. And I know I met you through a mutual friend.
Yeah.
And I've like meeting people through mutual friends has really helped because obviously I didn't know you. I didn't know whether I can trust you with the tech for a project that I wanted to do.
Yes.
So how how has working remotely with me been? Obviously I have my own sentiments, but from your side, how has that been?
Of course, it has its own challenges. As a startup, some of the challenges you face is, you've got limited access to capital, so formally we obviously started out really with not having a physical office, and I think the pandemic we then experienced was kind of a blessing. It taught us that in this day and age you don't really need a formal office, you just need to constantly connect and communicate, with your clients and your customers. So yeah, our journey really has just been a testament to it. There are days, of course, when you can easily get frustrated, simply because your time schedules are not really in sync and all. But I think we've really figured out and we've grown and matured to really understand how, the other person works, and that's definitely helped the journey.
And that's a really good point that you bring out because I work in a specific way, and there are times when I'm not available, and they are trying to kind of like, I feel like having you as a partner has really helped me to become a better partner for my projects.
Yes,
because
yeah.
you guys are so on the ball on things, and you're like, Chido, we need this done, we've got deadlines, let's do this. And I think I really appreciated having that. And I think as well, I'm not a technical founder. I don't know any coding yet, learning, but I felt quite safe, doing my projects with you guys. You explain things to me. There's so much more technical jargon I can speak with people, and they think, what languages do you know? I'm like, none. I know nothing. It's just like, the tech team that I work with are amazing.
Yeah.
So you spoke about challenges.
Yeah.
That you kind of have internally with the way you work. What challenges do you think the space is facing in Africa, the digital space?
Well, I think it's quite evident that in Africa in general, just the ease of doing business is already against you. From the get-go, we don't really have access to first world infrastructure. We rely a lot of outsourcing on certain services that maybe certain clients are formerly used to. And of course, I think the biggest challenge as well is just adoption of technology is really kind of limited. I mean, I think the large population in Africa is not even connected to basic internet, so that can really present, you know, a lot of challenges as well for businesses that are trying to reach out and grow and scale, because you're simply trying to reach out to a target audience that can't even access your services. Yeah.
And then in terms of kind of tech education, do you think
Yeah.
that we're moving steadily on that, or there's still a lot of work to do on, you know, getting people comfortable with tech?
Throughout my experiences, I mean, I've been to places like Impact Hub here in Harare, and I see some of the programs that they're running as well with children in high school. Certainly, I think there's a lot more that can be done. For me, some of the personal challenges I experienced was, you know, I only really started working on my skill sets and my qualifications from the end of my high school career. So when I was doing my O levels, that's when I enrolled in computer studies, went on to take it up at A level, and then of course at varsity level. But by that time, I already came across, you know, people in my varsity space who had been, you know, programming since they were in primary school, you know, since they were even less than 10 years old. So that obviously shows you that we're still playing catch up as far as, you know, the education and innovative space is concerned. But I think we're on the right track. I think more and more of us, you know, are becoming aware of the need to become tech savvy. You know, I see a lot of kids nowadays, you know, when they go to college, there's an emphasis, you know, you just need to have some form of computer literacy, because any particular job I think you apply for now in this industry, you know, you definitely need it as a requirement.
Yeah, no, most definitely.
Yeah.
So I want to speak a bit about the insights that you have. I'm sure you've worked with startups and established businesses.
Yeah.
You know, what are some insights that you're getting from the, you know, what are the needs that startups have and the needs that established businesses have in terms of tech and digitizing their processes?
Well, the way I would put that, I'll use a funny analogy of, you know, a primary school student and a varsity student. So the way I view startups is, you know, that's like your primary school or elementary child, you know. They need a bit more care, they need a bit more attention, you know, a bit more of like spoon feeding in a way, because startups are still trying to navigate, still trying to find their place in the market, or product market fit as most people call it. And so really it's a game of patience. You know, when you're talking to a client who's trying to manage or navigate a startup, you have to understand that they'll face a lot of challenges. Not everything might go according to plan, and they have a lot on their plate. They're trying to manage so many things at the same time, and you know, if you're not really the right fit for them, it can obviously create frustrations, or it can obviously create problems from their standpoint. However, with established businesses, I think it's a whole different ballgame. You know, they'll have the human capital, they'll have the resources to spend on particular projects, and so for them, it's more down to just deadlines and deliverables. They know exactly what they want, so it can make things a lot more easier from a work perspective, but the expectations are also very high as well. You definitely then need to deliver to the expectations. So yeah.
Wow. But that's really good, because I can see the way you know, you treat startups with more care.
Yeah.
And now after you saying that, you know, it's because you've noticed that startups have a lot on their plate already. You don't need to be like, oh, you don't need them to actually to be like, we're stressed, we don't have money, you know, this didn't work out. You already know that. So you structure your product offering for them to accommodate that type of service. So that's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I have two more questions for you. The first one is, what do you think people need to consider before they start a tech-based business?
What I think is, I think people need to consider having the right team around them when launching a startup. It really comes down to the different skill sets that you'll have in your team when you're founding a company. You need to understand that you're going to manage most of the processes in-house yourselves, basically, because you may not have access to, you know, capital. You can't really employ some of the experts in managing the various aspects of a company. So I think having a diverse group of people, having people who have a similar passion with grit as well, because you will face a lot of challenges when you're starting a company. And I think it's always important to really put more time and focus in making sure that the team around you is geared for the challenge that you most likely face.
No, that's good. I like how you mentioned team. It actually leads into my last question.
Yes.
When building a tech team for your startup,
Yeah.
Do you think it's better to build it in-house or to outsource? And I mean, what types of metrics should you be looking at when making this type of decision?
There's always a trade-off there. I wouldn't necessarily say there's one option that's better than the other. However, I can present a few pointers comparing the two. If you decide to build an in-house team, you have to realize that you're obviously trying to acquire the best or hire the best, and the best certainly doesn't come cheap. So that's something to always take into account. You obviously need to consider how much you're going to pay, your team, and the kind of work environment that is surrounding that space. In terms of delivery now of your solution, working with an in-house team, they can see things from a linear perspective because they're already part of the business. So they'll always be biased towards wanting to be positive about certain things, that they may not necessarily pick up some of the flaws in the idea, and certainly it can compromise the overall solution that will come out. Whereas if you're outsourcing now, it's almost like you're putting your faith or your trust in a partner now. That in itself is a whole challenge. You just mentioned it earlier. It was really complicated for you at first when we're starting to work together to really understand or even put your trust in steady state to say, are these guys going to be able to deliver? But I think the emphasis on that is it comes down as well to cost. You need to look at the person you're planning on outsourcing to. What are the commercials like compared to all the other competitors out there? Look at their history, look at their portfolio, and also realize that the speed and the quality is also then an important factor. With outsourcing, it's easy to put a burden on whoever you're outsourcing to and give them a hard deadline, because you understand that this is what they're paid to do. This is what essentially their bread and butter is. So yeah, there's always a trade-off there, and I think I can't really be biased to say one is better than the other, but I just think it's always important to take more time before making such an important decision.
Yeah, that's very important. But thank you so much, Nathan, for being on my channel. I really appreciate the work we've done together. I've honestly trusted them with projects that were very important to me, and they've come out amazing. I've been working with them for about 2.5 years now, and I think we're going to work together even more. So if you're looking for a technical partner, I really highly recommend Steady State Solutions. But that's it from me for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll link their social media handles in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.